What's up everyone, Chris here with Archipelago. Today we're going to be diving into our new set, Quest 02. I'm going to be guiding you through the unique features this set has to offer, along with a few tips and tricks to help you get the best possible results. Let's jump in. Quest 02 explores a more muted tonal range with subtle hues of bronze, copper, and teal blues. Included are 3 variations, each with a distinctive aesthetic. AQ021 features soft skin tones with desaturated blues, warm bronze shadows and mids, and muted highlights. AQ022 is cooler and more contrasty with deep emerald greens and teal blues. AQ023 features copper tones with warm matte shadows and soft sun-kissed skin tones. The incandescent profile included adds both contrast and luminosity while creating an ethereal feel. Alright, now you have an idea what Quest 2 is all about. Let's go ahead and jump in and start editing some images. Let's go ahead and move on to our first here. So before we do anything else, we want to set our white balance and exposure. This particular image, it's looking a bit on the magenta side, so I'm going to tone that back a little bit here. I'm going to bring up my exposure right about there, looks good. And I want to warm it up a bit here with the temperature slider. Just make those skin tones pop. Yeah, there we go, that's looking great. Now let's go ahead and apply our first preset. AQ021, let's give it a click. Already looking fantastic, love it. Okay, so let's mess around a little bit with the incandescent profile, see what we can get. Yeah, go from a beautiful matted, faded type look all the way up to a more punchy, contrasty look. And I think I want this more on the punchy, contrasty side. I think I'm gonna do about 148 there. I'm gonna bring up my exposure a little bit more. Yeah, I think I'm pretty satisfied with that. Let's go ahead and move on to the next image. So again, let's go ahead and set our white balance and exposure. I'm gonna give it a bump in exposure here. Let's go right about there. Bump in temperature. I'm gonna go pretty warm with this one. It looks like it was shot around golden hour, so I'm just gonna make it look like golden hour. That's looking pretty good. Yeah, and I think I'm happy with the tint. Let's go ahead and apply a preset, AQ022. Let's give that a click. Already looking super good. Let's bring that exposure down just a little bit here. Yeah, that's looking great. Now for this particular image, it's looking a little bit strong on the contrast for me, so we can use that incandescent profile. We can slide it over here to the left just to give it a more faded look. Yeah, and that's matching this image perfectly. Another thing to note is just how natural and nice those greens look. Very color accurate, which I am a fan of. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with where this edit is at. Let's go ahead and move on to the next. Alright, so for this particular image, we definitely want to mess with the white balance a little bit. It definitely looks off. It's looking heavily on the magenta side, so let's go ahead and back that off. And a quick little note, to get the slider exactly where you want it, a good thing to do is kind of take it a little too far left, a little too far right, and find where your eye finds it most natural. I'm going to say right about here, plus 15. Then I'm going to bump up the temperature a little bit, just to get a little punch in those skin tones. Right about there looks great. And then let's pull up the exposure here. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and apply AQ023. Give that a click. Looking great. Let's see. I'm going to back down the exposure a little bit. Yeah, that's looking nice. And I think I want a little bit more punch, so I'm going to use the incandescent profile for that. It really helps just get a natural contrast while maintaining color. Let's see, right about there. Yeah, that looks fantastic. Golden skin tones, overall warm look. I love it. Let's go ahead and move on to the next. Alright, so the white balance on this is looking pretty good actually. It's slightly on the magenta side, just barely. So let's go ahead and back that off a little bit. And then since it's golden hour, I'm gonna want to bring up the temperature as much as I can get away with. About right about there, right below, yeah, 8,700 is about good. Okay, exposure's looking nice. Let's go ahead and apply a preset. Let's see what we got here. I'm just gonna pick my favorite here. I'm definitely digging AQ022. Give that a click. I think I want a bit more punch, so I'm gonna use the incandescent profile. Punch that up a little bit. Right about 140. That's looking fantastic. Now, why don't we go ahead and use a lens effect. We're gonna use LE06, yeah, the Ring of Fire here. Give that a click. It's a little bit intense right to begin with, but we're gonna back it off. So head over to your brush panel, give it a click. And I just want to get rid of the big diffusion haze effect here. And I'm just going to actually delete that brush right about there. Boom. Pretty much exactly what I want, actually. I wouldn't even make any more adjustments. Close that out. Looking fantastic. Let's go ahead and move on to the next image. All right, for this particular image, it's looking a bit on the green side, although that could just be because there are a lot of green tones in it. I'm gonna play around with the tint slider anyways, and just to see here, if I take it, yeah, I think I like it a little over the right there. Keep going. Yeah, right about, let's do 16, 17, that's fine. Okay, now I'm gonna play with the temperature a little bit just to see if there's an area where I like it more. I think I'm gonna go a little bit more for a neutral look here and not try to bump it up too warm. Yeah, right about there. That looks good. The exposure looks fantastic, so let's go ahead and apply a preset. Again, I'm just going to go ahead here and pick my favorite one. I definitely want to go with 022 again, and that's because it's really just popping those greens. Yeah, that looks fantastic. I'm going to bump the exposure up slightly. Yeah. Looks like we have a little light coming in from the top here, so let's go ahead and use another lens effect. Let's see what we got. I'm thinking, oh, you know what? I know what I want to go for. Yeah, exactly. Let's go for 5A here. Give that a click. And you can actually see up here that this lens flare that's already on the image, it's kind of has a green tone to it. So we can actually do the same thing with our lens flare just to give it a nice consistent look. Head over to the brush panel, give that a click, and you see you've got your little anchor points here. Give the first one a click. Okay. And I'm actually going to adjust this with the hue slider here. Okay, that's just going to completely change the color until it's nice and green. Looking like 95 is pretty good. Yeah. And do that with the other one as well. Right around 95. Right there. Fantastic. Looking awesome. And lastly, you know what I want to do here? Instead of using the incandescent profile, why don't we go ahead and use the profile from the first set? This is something that you can do, if you didn't realize already, is you can mix and match presets and profiles. So I'm gonna give diffusion a click here. One of my favorite profiles of all time. Let's see here. And then, yeah, let's just smooth things out on the side. Just like that. Perfect. Subtle but awesome effect. Well, I think that looks awesome. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at the before and afters. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. I hope this video was helpful and informative. If you saw any presets today that are not available in the current month, make sure to check out our archive presets section to be able to pick up a copy of any of the sets we've released with Quest. This is Chris, signing off, and I'll see you in the next one.